Hey, good morning, guys. Oh, my bump's a little big. Let me just fix that. Great. Hi, guys. Good morning. I made it this morning today. Why is the lighting terrible? Oh, guys, I will forever be struggling with my lighting here. All right. This is good enough. Let me just, as usual, guys, just share this. To my other pages. Guys, if you're just coming on, say hi. Say hi, where you're from, all that good stuff. Shared. All right, cool. Guys, my topic is epic today. It's epic. It's about relationships, one of my favorite topics. All right. Let's get going. Let me get a sip of my coffee first. Thanks for joining, guys. All right. Let me introduce myself. My name is Justine Leslie. I'm a spiritual advisor, a spiritual teacher. I do intuitive coaching, crystal healing, and angel card readings, as well as I offer a ton of empathic support. So if you suspect that you're an empath, who is somebody who feels energy very deeply, message me. Let's chat. It's something I know way, way too much about. Let me help you manage your emotions, or help you kind of figure out your highest self, what it actually means to be an empath, etc., etc. Okay, so that's enough with the introduction. So, this topic today is about one of my favorite things to talk about is relationships. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I talk a lot about the relationship between the empath and the narcissist. And I know a lot about that because I've experienced it and I've done a lot of my own research and teachings and all that stuff. So I do know a lot about that. But there's something that keeps becoming a recurring theme in my life, and I've been studying that as well. And that comes down to, thanks for the like. Yeah, if you guys like or if you guys resonate actually with anything that I'm talking about, just give me a like or a heart. And like I said, introduce yourself on the comments. Something that's been really difficult for me is that I have a lot of emotional issues, and yes, half of that it comes from, or I would say a good portion of it comes from being an empathic and not really understanding how to deal with my emotions, but it also has something to do with just not being emotionally available in a romantic partnership. And it has really, I've spent a lot of time before my spiritual awakening blaming the people that I was in a relationship with. It's all their fault. But the truth is, at the end of the day, we are mirrors, right? We attract what we are, not what we want. And let me just repeat that. We attract what we are, not what we want. So, of course, a good portion of people want a very healthy, loving, emotionally free relationship, but that's not always the case, especially if you are not acting in a way or thinking in a way where you could attract something like that into your life, because we're all mirrors, right? So for me, I had to really take responsibility and accountability for why I kept attracting people that are not emotionally available to me for a long-term partnership. And I had to really, really think about it and really look deep inside myself. And the people that are watching, I know you're watching for a reason, and I urge you to take a very, very deep look into yourself and ask yourself, are you emotionally unavailable? Are you the one that has the intimacy issues? Because more often than not, it's us, right? Attracting the equal partnership, where it's the mirror, right? So I had to really, really take a look. And the truth is, in my life, I have never truly, truly wanted a healthy relationship. I had always stumbled into relationships. I was never always looking for one, and now that I'm actually looking for one and I know what I want and I'm putting it out into the universe, I'm more likely to get it. But anyway, that's my work. That's my healing work that I've been doing. So I've had a large dating history. I have put together 3 types of people that you may be attracting if you're emotionally unavailable. And you may resonate, you may not, but they kind of all make sense at the end of the day. So after I go through this list, if you guys actually resonate with some of these things that you've been attracting, these types of people, I urge you to please dive into your inner self and do the work, do the healing work, because obviously there's some healing that needs to be done, right? And you know, after a while I remember thinking, person after person after person after person, I said, why me? And that's kind of how I had to dive deep. So, okay guys, you guys ready? Okay, so the first one, and like I said, I have talked about this in the past between an empath and a narcissist, but the first person that you may be attracting is the narcissist. So, this may be because you're an empath, right? I already kind of discussed that. But also, narcissists are the type of people that they lack empathy, they lack accountability, they have a grandiose view of the world and themselves. And they have no accountability, but no accountability about their feelings. They don't honor their feelings. So they're the type that actually keeps their feelings in, and they're not clear. Their ego is so large that they can't actually access the good parts of what they're feeling. So, and then a lot of narcissists, by the way, narcissists can love other people, but they can love people in the way that they know how, to the largest extent they know how. And since they're not in touch with the higher self, which is love, then they cannot fully love another human being. And that was a huge wake-up call for me, because I knew that I could fully love another human being. I've done it before in my life. I know I'm capable. But I wasn't exuding that, right? I was pretending my feelings, I didn't want to talk about my feelings. I was pretending, vulnerability was weak. I was pretending that, I didn't even care that much. I cared a lot. I cared a lot. And, excuse me, that behavior actually I think has helped me attract the narcissist in my life. And, it could be possible for you too. So just take a closer look, even if you're not an empath, if you've attracted a narcissist before in your life. And by the way, when I say narcissist, I mean somebody with narcissistic personality disorder, because we all have narcissistic personality traits. Not to be confused with an actual disorder. The difference between having the traits and disorder is a extreme disruptive lifestyle, right? It hurts other people deeply. It affects your life deeply. So that's what makes it a disorder. Okay, so I just wanted to make that very, very clear. The second type of person that you may attract if you're emotionally unavailable is somebody on the autistic spectrum. Now, what does this mean? I actually didn't really know too much about this until I started dating somebody that I believe to be a high-functioning has a high-functioning Asperger's, but basically here are some of the things that you may be exuding that they have as a mirror situation, right? So first of all, they lack emotional intelligence. I remember after I broke up with mine, he told me that somebody was flirting with him 2 days later. That's not exactly an emotionally intelligent thing to do. I didn't want to repeat the word, but it's really not. Also, second thing is that they miss, quote unquote, I actually don't want to say normal, typical social cues. So it's like really hard to be in a relationship, especially if you're an empath and you can tell when you can feel other people's feelings. Their normal social cues, whether somebody is sad, mad, upset, like whatever, they don't get it's like hard for them to process that. So it's very, very difficult to be in a relationship with this type of person. And the third thing is they do not value intimate touch, which is really, really, hi Anthony. They do not value intimate touch, which can be very, very difficult. Now for me, and sorry guys that I keep bringing my own experiences into this, but it's really helpful sometimes for me when when I'm watching other people and I have an example to go with it. But, and that's how I like to teach. So, you know, for me, I look back at all of these things, and I realized that I was kind of blocking them myself. Like, I've had lack of emotional talent, intimate touch, not the same. I'm talking about, I don't think it doesn't even, for me, intimacy doesn't really mean, doesn't necessarily have to mean sexual. Intimate can be like touching somebody's head or like their hair, or comforting somebody with physical touch. I don't necessarily mean sexual, no. But that was an issue too. But I look at all of these things, and there's a part of me that there were some blocks here with all of them, right? Like, there are times where I lacked emotional intelligence, I lack social cues, I do not value the intimate touch because I have my own intimacy issues. I get it, thanks. Hi from Australia. Hi, Joanne. Thanks for joining. So for me, I was like, oh my God, like, I can't even believe that, like, I mirrored somebody that's like this, because this is what I want, but this is exactly what I'm doing. So I have to work on that. I have to work on my intimacy to be able to bring in somebody that's actually open to it, free about it, and someone of my equal, right? So it's like, when I look at this, it's kind of obvious that I actually attracted it. And then the third type of person, this is actually pretty simple, and I do this all the time, is that these are people that are directly out of a long-term relationship and are not necessarily ready to jump into another. Right? Who has done that in their life? Give me a like or heart. It seems to be a pattern in mine as well. People that are not ready to commit. People that want freedom, and people not willing to compromise. You can tell. You can almost kind of tell. But then you say, oh, they just need some time. So you give them some time. But then after a while, you know, maybe that time that you're waiting, you start getting resentments around them and towards them, and it turns into a bad situation, because the person is not a bad person. The person is just not ready to commit the way that you're ready to commit. So it's kind of like a butting of a head situation. But you are the one that may be emotionally unavailable. You may be attracting them for that very reason. Right? So we have to look at that, guys. Because maybe you think you want this relationship, but are you really, really, do you deep down really believe that and really want that or not? Right? So I always say to myself, so that was the third one, and so that was a quickie, right? So what I can say about this whole topic is, I know I keep saying it's a mirror, but the truth is, we attract what we are, not what we want. I know I said it already 3 times in this live, but it's so true, because it's enough. I understand that we could be victims. I was a victim of my narcissist. I get it. I'm a survivor now. That's totally fine. But I actually attracted that person into my life, and I have done the deep, deep work that was scary as hell to get myself to be not attracted to people who treat me terribly. And it is up to us. We are the only people that can actually do that within ourselves. We are powerful, guys. You have to understand. We are powerful enough to change ourselves, to transform, to evolve, to get us to a place of more self-respect, self-love, get into a place of our higher selves. Because for me, what I've learned is getting in touch with my higher self. I don't want to be with people like the people I've mentioned, okay? I want to be with people that respect me and touch me and love me, genuinely love me, and respect me, and all of these things. And what I'm telling you is the truth, and that's the truth of who I am and what I want. And it took me a really long time to really understand that. So I think it's super important when it comes down to dating is to list the things that you actually want from the other person, and then take a look at yourself and ask yourself if you actually exude some of these characteristics. Do you, when you're in a relationship or dating somebody, do you touch them a lot? Do you respect them? Do you not judge them? Do you do all the things that you want out of a partner? Do you do that to them? And you have to look at yourself. I know it's hard and it's easy to blame the other people. And like I said, I understand there are victims. There are victims here for the most part. I understand abuse, and I understand being a victim. Finding our part in all of this is more important than placing blame. We have to know our needs and boundaries and make sure we don't violate. Yes. And that's the other thing too. Boundaries. And if you feel like you're attracting a lot of people who violate your boundaries, you need to look at what your boundaries are and how do you respect yourself and keep your boundaries afloat. So I guess the whole idea of this episode is just, or whatever it is, teaching, whatever you want to call it, is just really look at yourself and really understand and take accountability, right? Because accountability is so important in our roles, in our lives, that we must take responsibility for our actions and for what we want out of our lives. Because, again, we are the creators. We do not let things... Yes, okay, there are things that we can't control, right? But one thing that we can control this. Guys, we can control who our partners are. I know a lot of people say, well, I can't help who I fall in love with. Kind of, right? Like, it's true, but it's not true at the same time. You have to take control of yourself and your love life, and you have to really, really dive deep and really understand what you want out of a partner. Writing down, I don't know if you guys journal. I journal sometimes. Sometimes just seeing it is super important. Getting it out of your head and onto a piece of paper is so important. And just really think about whether you exude those traits. And then you can really, really learn a ton about yourself. And if there's healing that needs to be done, which usually there always is, I say go for it. So, and we can kind of talk about that. If you want to talk about healing, I'll throw my... God, what am I thinking of? Oh, my scheduler in the comments. If it turns out that you may be exuding some codependency issues too, and I can actually do a live about that this week, because I myself am a recovering codependent. I actually had somebody over the weekend tell me how independent I am, and I didn't correct her and say recovering codependent. Thank you for saying that. But it's something that's really important, and I notice can really mess with a lot of relationships. So anyway, guys, moral of the story, we need to take accountability for who we are and what we put out and what we want in relationships, right? So that's that. All right, cool. Hopefully this made sense. Thank you so much for people that have joined, and thank you for the hearts. Oh, thanks, Aunt. And hopefully if you're catching the replay, if you have any questions, I'm putting my scheduler in the comments, and you can always message me on Facebook as well. I'll be on tomorrow, guys. I'll see you then. Bye.